Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, The Game Changer. It's lovely to be back with you guys, The Game Changer fam. I love you all and missed you all. Uh, and this video is about the power of prayer. I'm telling you very honestly, I enjoy worship because it helps me cast my burden on the Lord while I'm worshiping and singing to the Lord in His presence. I feel that freedom. And when I also like reading the Bible because it challenges my thoughts and my mindset, and I know that God's way is better. And it's just, I know His word changes my life because I have been experiencing it all my life. But when it comes to prayer, very honestly, I'm gonna be open with you guys. I never usually enjoy praying so much because I feel like to pray, I have to know what I need to pray. So if I need to know what I need to pray, then I have to know what's going on within me. And sometimes I don't even understand myself to know what I want or what I need or what in the world am I feeling. So for me to pray, it keeps me at a space where I have to understand myself when I kind of like, I don't know what to pray for, or I don't even know what I want or what I need. And I think God really does a good job because most of the time, without even praying or even knowing this is my need or this is my want or this is my desire, God just gives it to me. And that's when I realized, oh my God, like I needed that and God gave me. Oh, I wanted that. Oh, I desired that, but I did not know I had even a desire for it. Like that's how usually my life has been all through many years, and I think it still is. But I'm far more better now compared to what I was before when it comes to praying. So I think I still have to grow a lot more. But this is for you people who struggle to pray, struggle to understand yourself, and don't even know what to pray. And I'm telling you, like, prayer is such a powerful thing. And I'm going to tell you a thing, how should I put it, a sequence of a season where I heard God and it required my obedience, and how I was trying to negotiate with God of how I wasn't like good enough for the job that He was calling me to do, and then how God prepared me through the process and the outcome of it. So long story short, I felt like God was telling me to support and help children in prison, and I was like, okay, I don't think that's from God, because you know, when you are applying for a work or a job, they see your qualification that okay, this person has so and so experiences for them to even like deal with this kind of work, right? I have always been a protected girl. Everywhere I am, I'm protected. I know that very well. I've been raised that way all my life as well. So, and I've been like taught so much of don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that kind of things that I never even got a full-fledged chance to do anything that I know is wrong and I want to do it, but I didn't do it because I know there were so many don'ts to how I was being raised. So I felt like God was, when I felt like God was telling me that He wanted me to be a support and a help to the children in prison, I was like, I don't think I'm hearing right, because I don't think I'm a good candidate for it, because I don't think I have the qualification that is required. Because if you want to help someone who has gone through something, you are more equipped if you have gone through a similar thing, because you feel more empathetic, you feel more compassionate towards them, because you know how it feels like to walk that journey. And I was like, God, I don't think like I am qualified. And I'm telling you, I'm sure you guys have heard that popular saying, God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. So long story short, which is not short when it comes to me, but I love you guys for still listening and just being there and loving me so much. It means so much, so much, so much. And yeah, so yeah, what was I telling? I got distracted in expressing my love to you guys. I got distracted from the actual topic. Now getting back to what God was telling me. Yes, God was telling me that I need to move forward, and I wasn't saying yes to Lord because of the checklist that I felt needed for that work, what God was calling me. But I wasn't the one to choose the job or the work that God was calling me. He is the one who calls, and I had to be obedient, which I wasn't. But how many of you guys know that when you don't say yes to what God is calling you to do, you start feeling that turmoil within yourself, you start feeling that uneasiness because of your disobedience, and you can't really enjoy your life and have that joy and peace unless and until you say yes to the Lord and be obedient to what He's calling you to do. So I was going on with my life, but I just knew I had to say yes to the Lord, because I wasn't having so much of joy and peace. And every time this thing popped up in my mind, I was like, oh my God, I just don't know how it's gonna work out, because I was also thinking, even if I say yes, okay, will the kids connect with me? Will those children connect with me? Will I be able to connect with those children? Because even if I have that love and compassion and whatever that is required for those kids, will they be at a place to receive from someone like me? Or will they be would they shut me down, saying that, hey, you don't even know what we guys are going through, you are just feel good kind of a thing, and you guys don't. And I felt like they might be dismissive of the help or support or whatever that I had to offer them, because I did not have the similar experience or what they were going through, or I just felt like I wasn't sure if they will look up to me to receive from me. So I was going through all these thoughts in my mind, and I finally came to a point where I was like, God, I don't think I'm qualified, but I know that you qualify the called. I don't know how it's going to work out, because I have no experience in dealing with people who have committed a crime and have done things which are dangerous in the society. I don't know if I can communicate to them. I don't know if they will receive from me. I don't know if I'm even qualified. But as the popular saying goes, God doesn't qualify the called. God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. Sorry. So about what I said before, I wasn't thinking. Okay, so coming back to that, I told, I don't think I'm qualified, but I know I need to be obedient and say yes to you, because I want my peace, I want my joy, and how it's gonna work out, it's your business. And I'm saying yes to you, but I'm still letting you know I don't have experience about handling these kind of people, which I'm not familiar with or have done this kind of work before. Because dealing with a friend, dealing with someone who have gone through an extreme of societal pressure or whatever. I wasn't sure if I was good enough to be the kind of help and support system these guys need. So, but however, long story short, I say yes to the Lord, and I'm still like going through this within myself, thinking like, how am I going to navigate all this, that, and I still wasn't at a place where I visited the prison yet, because you have to go through a lot of authorizations and be cleared. I was still in the process. So I was like, okay, God, whatever is your will, let it be done. And so moving fast forward, there was this night in the New York City that I was going to get a takeout from a restaurant. I wanted to get a takeout from a restaurant. I just submitted my assignment and I was hungry, and that was a season where I was eating healthy and I was intentional about what I was eating and considering what kind of food I should eat and I shouldn't eat. But at that point I was like starving, and I was like, and it was also a kind of temptation, but I was like, God, I feel tempted and I want to go and get the kind of food that I want, which is like an emotional satisfaction for me. But I know I have to turn to you, but I still feel like going to the restaurant, getting the food that I want, but I'm submitting this whole thing to you. Now the street, and then I go out because I'm like very, very, very hungry, and it was already late, and I had to go. As I was walking the street, I see a huge crowd of people. I could figure out that they were bystanders and something was happening in the middle, and I did not know what. But to the restaurant that I had to go, I had to cross this crowd of people to get to where I want. So as I was walking forward, I first see this man hitting this other man who was already down and unconscious in front of a bar. Like, you know how they have outdoor seating and then these tables and chairs, and this was like in the middle there. Like, this guy was one of the guy was down on the ground, and this other guy was very furious, hitting this guy and hitting him, and he was like saying all kinds of things, and I didn't understand what was going on. And I was like, okay, I did not come to watch this. I'm just hungry. I'm going to focus on my food and go like past that, which I don't know what I was thinking. But I felt like I heard God say, I want you to handle it. And I was like, okay, this is totally like, at that point to hear something like that felt insane. But I was like, okay, I don't know if it's my emotions speaking or God speaking. Obviously it's not my emotions, because I am not interested in anything right now except food, and this is not something I'm interested in handling, and I don't even think I know anything to handle this kind of situation. So I am like, I just brushed off that thought, or that came into my mind, that I felt God spoke, and I walked past that. And as I was walking, I still heard God was like telling me, I called you, like I brought you out to handle this situation here. And I was like, okay, God, I need to focus on food. And so I go to the restaurant, and then the restaurant is closed, and I was like, God, I know I told you I was tempted and I wanted you to help me, and you put the restaurant closed. And then I felt God was speaking to me, but I brought you out to handle this. And I was like, God, you don't understand what I'm feeling. And I was like trying to explain to God how I'm not qualified or good enough to handle this situation as well. Like, so I was giving my reasons to God. God, there are two men. One is already down and unconscious. This man is still hitting him, kicking him, and just venting out his anger. He's furious, and God knows what he's gonna do next. Like, this guy was like, I don't even think he was satisfied that the other guy was down. I felt like he wanted to just finish him. So I was like, the level of anger that guy had was different level. And I was like, okay. And I was like, God, how are you telling me to handle that guy? Because first of all, I'm a woman. Okay, you created me a woman. That means my bone mass is not like a man's bone mass. My muscle strength is not like this. So that means, like, if you're the only way that I think that man will I can handle that situation in my mind is take that man down and put him to the ground to handle the situation. But clearly, like, that you created me a woman with a different kind of, should I say, body. So I was like, I don't have that strength to tackle that guy. So what in the world do you want me to do? And then I just felt like God telling me, I want you to handle the situation. And you know what I did? I was like, okay, God. And I looked to the crowd. I saw the tallest, broadest man with good muscle mass and like this tallest, strongest man in the crowd. And I went up to him and I was like, dude, I want to go there. I said him hi, and he wasn't even processing my hi because he was seeing how curious the other guy was hitting that guy. And I told him, I want you to come with me while I talk to that guy, because I wanted some protection, someone to like handle in case if the guy turns his anger towards me. So I was like, and I told him, I just want you to come with me while I do the talking, because a woman was already yelling stop, stop, but then nothing was going into his head because he was so furious. Like I said, he wasn't satisfied with him being down. He just wanted to finish him, and I could figure it out, and so was the crowd, but no one was saying anything because everybody could figure it out, obviously. And this man was so tall, so bro, he looks at me and he's like, we have to first understand what that dude did for this dude to react this way. And I was like, that was like a light bulb. Like, what the hell are you talking? Like that's what I was feeling inside, because I felt like few more minutes the guy would kill that guy. And this guy, like, what in the world do you want to know later on that this guy, like, you want to know what he did while you had the chance to protect someone. Even if the person is wrong or right, no one has a right to kill someone else. And you want to wait and stand here and figure out and then know what's going to happen. Like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Like, literally, what are you talking? Like, literally, that shut my mind down. I didn't tell him all that I was thinking, but within my mind, I was like, what is this guy talking? And I was like, God. And then I felt like God was telling me, look into his eyes. And I was like, and I looked, and I felt like God was asking me, what do you see? And I'm telling you guys, I saw fear with the tallest, broadest man in the whole crowd, around like 50 people around. He's scared. And that's what God showed me. And I felt stronger than that guy at the moment, like, at least emotionally and mentally, because I felt like I don't have a body like his, but my mind and my emotions were stronger, like literally stronger. Like, if I had the body like him, I would have handled it long time back, kind of a situation. And then I felt like God was telling me, after God told me, like, look into his eyes, and I looked, and God asked me, what do you see? I said, I could clearly say it was fear. And God was telling me, I didn't call you to give the work that I gave you to handle it to someone else. You are called for this, to handle this situation. And I was like, God, how in the world will I handle this situation? And the guy was still hitting. Like, this was like few minutes down, and just hitting. Like I said, he wasn't satisfied with the guy being down. And that's when I felt very strongly in my spirit that I had to pray. And then I started praying, Lord, I pray. Like, I felt like I had to put me in that situation of the guy and think like how he thinks in his anger. And the next thing that was popping my mind was like, take the chair that was there in the outdoor and hit that guy. And that's what this guy was going to do. Like, he was going forward because he, like I said, he wasn't satisfied with the guy being down. And I guess like there was not even any kind of defense from the other guy, because he was literally on the ground. And then this guy was like screaming, like, this is what you do to a brother, this is what you do to a brother. And then, like, I don't know what this guy did to that guy, or that guy did to this guy. And then I saw this guy that's what I was thinking, and what I was thinking was what exactly that guy was doing, because I was trying to think like that guy who was angry and furious. And immediately I felt like the Holy Spirit got telling me, like, pray about it. And I was like, Lord, I pray that you work in the situation and handle it. And then as I was praying, I saw this guy, not so tall, not so broad, just like a medium built but strong, and medium height. He just goes and gently, very gently, touches the guy's shoulders and then holds the chair where his hand is, where he was holding that chair, and slowly pulls the chair away from him. And then he starts, like, then he goes closer, then he handles. Then I was continuing to pray, Lord, like, start working and everything. Lord, calm down his anger, and help him to control his emotions of anger and all this. As I was praying, this other guy that I don't even know, or anyone there, I'm probably like, he was gently, like, like tapping his shoulder, like, I'm there for you, to that guy who's angry. And this man who's been hitting this other man for almost like 10-15 minutes, and no one could control him. And God knows how long, even before I came to the situation and saw that it was happening, because the guy was already down. And then slowly, this guy, as I was praying, God was using another man to handle the situation. But God was telling me that I was the one handling, because what God was teaching me was the power of prayer, that sometimes it's not necessary that you have to go and speak or go and be in action, but sometimes your action is your prayer. And I never knew the power of prayer until then, and the whole situation subsided because of as I was praying, I was seeing the Lord working through someone else, and it wasn't even me, it was someone else. And then I felt like, wow, like, I never knew prayer was so powerful. So after that incident, I was like, okay, there is something about the prayer, because I always hear my mom pray, and I was like, I don't even know what to pray. Like, and I'm telling you guys, like, God helps. Even if we don't understand what to pray, even if we don't know what to pray, even if we don't even understand what's going on, just being open to God with whatever you're feeling, the good, the bad, the right, the wrong. Just be honest with God. Say, God, I don't understand. Like, this is what is my mind telling me. This is what is happening, and I just don't understand, but I need you to help me. I need you to show me. I need you to understand me. I need you to help me to see things the way you want me to see. So that was something, that the first incident that I felt like God was speaking to me of, and making me understand and experience the power of prayer. The next and few weeks down my life, and then I had some work, and then I just thought, like, okay, I have between So I had this much time to this much time between a class that I had to attend and the work that I have to get done. So I felt like, okay, I'm gonna walk down the street, get my work done, and get back. And I have this time, not a big margin of time, but time to get my work done within a shot. And I was doing multiple things, so I really did not have so much time to relax myself and do. So I just had to whenever I get gaps of time, I was utilizing to achieve something or the other work done. So I felt like, okay, I have this time gap and I need to go and get this done and be there for the class. And I was just rushing. I got my I did not get my work done yet. I was just going. And then this was, I'm telling you, the busy street in New York City. And middle of the day, literally middle of the day, okay, I see this guy, a big, he might be 6'4", broad built, hair completely, what's that, plaited, I don't know, forgot the name. Okay, so completely that thing. And this guy, he looked rough, literally rough. And he was holding this guy, a teenage guy, thin and tall, to literally like this. And then I was just walking, and it's New York City in the middle of the day, and people are just crossing by. No one cares, literally, it's not a New Yorker when you know that nothing is affecting him or her, and they're minding their own business and walking past, and everything is just going on. That's New York City, a city that never sleeps, never stops, and always running. So I was like, okay, I am a Christian, right? And I see God. Then sometimes I feel when and there are times where God is calling you to do something, right? But this one was very violent. And again, on the street, this man completely he put him literally hand on the throat, and that guy was literally I could see his froth coming out of his mouth, and he was close to dying. He was grasping for breath, and I was I panicked, I couldn't breathe. I panicked it was a panic attack, and I was and I couldn't walk past that. There was no big crowd over here, the bar incident that I was seeing in front of that bar. So people were just walking, and then I was God, I just didn't know what to do. It was just a panic attack, and I was unable to speak. I was just stood there grasping, and then there were people around there, the vendors, they sell on street kind, and they were just looking it's no big deal, this happens kind of a thing. And I was grasping for, that guy was grasping for breath, but it was feeling because of my panic attack, I was grasping for breath as well. And I was and suddenly I felt the Holy Spirit, God, brought this verse to me, speak up for those who can't speak for themselves. And I was after God spoke to me, if I walk past it, which I don't even think at that point I could walk past it, because I felt I froze. I panicked and I froze. So I wanted to speak, but I just couldn't. And I felt the Holy Spirit, God, speak to me, speak up for those who can't speak for themselves. And I didn't even know what to speak. And I was I just, within my spirit, I felt God help me. And all I could say with that frozen state and with that panic attack, seeing an attempt of murder, was looking at that person and being who has held this boy, and telling him, please, my please is way more softer and faster right now, but at that point it was very soft and very hard but soft, and I was like, please. And then the first time I said please, the guy side-eyed me and I was like scared, but then I held the courage, and then I was like, please let him go. And you know what happened? I was shocked as well. The guy looks at me and then takes him by his t-shirt and then throws him down like some trash kind of a thing. And I was still frozen, and I was still like trying to process everything I was seeing. And I was also shocked that why would a 6 feet 4 inch guy listen to someone who is telling him please let him go. It wasn't even like I wasn't even attacking him or like. And then that guy like threw him, like after I said that, I was shocked that he even listened to me. He threw him down, and then I don't know what happened. I was still in that frozen state, and then he comes back to that guy who was still grasping for his breath, because like I said, he was like I could see froth coming out of his mouth. He turns that guy around and pulls a knife from his pocket, and I was like, whoa, like these guys are involved in some shady things. And like you can just figure it out, right? Like with everything going on. And I was like, okay, he's moved, he's controlled his anger, and this guy is down here. And then I did not have a lot of time. Like I said, my margin to get the work done was short. So I focused back to my work, and then I got my work done. And while I was coming back, which where I had to get my work done was like 10 minutes. And then after I finished when I was coming back, this guy was across this, like in the middle of the street, right? This happened. And then there was this man who was passing the street, and he was telling him, throw him to the side of the street, like literally, like. And I was like, God, like what happened to the consciousness or like of the people in New York City? And I love city, I'm a city girl, and then I was born in city, I was raised in city, and I always move in cities. And the only time I think like where God does not want me to be in cities, where he wants me to slow down and focus on something that he wants me to focus on. So I was like, why are people like becoming to a point where you don't care a damn about anything? So, and then I was like, God, please provide someone to help the guy. And then I had to run to my class, and that's what I did. And that's when the second lesson that God taught me is when you can't even pray, when you are like literally, I was grasping for breath because I froze, and I had that panic attack because I was seeing an attempted murder. But God listens to your groaning. God, when you want to obey God, he will help you. I said nothing to that guy of 6 feet or around 4 inches. Like literally, he could just pick me up like this and throw me away. Like that's how strong that man was. But when you are obedient to God, even the strongest of the strongest people will be moved to be obedient to God when you are obedient to your calling. And you would have done the work of the Lord in blessing someone's life, or maybe multiple people's life, just by standing and being obedient to what God is calling you to do. And one of the things that I feared God also was that, what if I don't speak up and God holds me accountable for that incident or situation? That was what was also convicting within me, even though I couldn't like process so many emotions together at once. But that was also an incident that I felt like there was a fear of God, and just like the helplessness of myself, but a desire to help others. And when I chose, and God didn't even need a lot of words or sentences or paragraphs or a big story to move someone. All he needed was someone to stand up and say, please let him go. And that's when I felt, when the Holy Spirit God is at move and you're being obedient to God, it doesn't matter you having all the skills and talents in the world. It doesn't matter, because I speak a lot. You guys know I speak a lot. I love to speak, but at that situation I couldn't speak. At that situation I couldn't even gather words. At that situation I couldn't even process my own self. But my desire to be obedient to God, my desire that I feared God because he would hold me accountable to it, God brought a change in the whole situation, because heaven comes down when you're obedient to God and handles the situation for you. But you have to stand in the gap and be obedient to God. And I don't know what situation you're going through or what God is calling you to do, but if he's asking you to stand up, remember, it's not in your strength, it's not what you are or what you can do, but it's your obedience to God that gives you strength, that gives you courage, that gives you boldness, that handles the situation for you and keeps you protected, keeps you provided, keeps you, professes to the world that you are powerful because you are a child of God and God lives within you. And the third incident that that is another incident where I experienced the power of prayer. And the third and the final incident that I want to share with you guys was this was a bus journey. I was traveling from one state to another. I got into the bus. I'm like, I don't like anyone sitting next to me, so I put my bag, and thankfully there was no one who booked the seat next to me. So I was like, yay, I'm gonna enjoy. I love traveling. Like, I love flying, I love traveling, I love driving. But then, okay, even if I'm not driving, I just enjoy the ride. And so I was in the bus, okay, traveling, and then the seat next to me, there was no one. So I was like so happy. And then because I process a lot of things when I'm traveling, and maybe that's why I love it, because it gives me like more time to be myself and focus on myself and think and just relax myself. That's how, like, I love doing it. So that's I also think it's genetic. Because my dad loves traveling as well. And okay, that's not genes, but at least behavioral. We enjoy the same thing. So coming back to this thing, so I was on the bus, and then to the right side of me there was this woman sitting, and in front of that woman in the row there was this man. And this man, he had, like, one eye was closed, he had a band, and I think maybe he went through a surgery or something, I don't know. So this woman was behind, and then, like, usually I don't focus so much, so I did not focus so much, but I knew this woman was, like, I think I was reading a book, and then I saw this woman, like, not unknowingly, she was just like hitting the seat in front of hers, but I could see, like, she was going through something and dealing something within herself, and she also looked high on drugs. So and she was crying as well, and she was just like unknowingly hitting, like, just, it wasn't even like a big hit, like, just like that. And then all of a sudden, 20 minutes, like 15-20 minutes in the bus, the man gets furious. He gets up and he is like, I don't remember exactly, but he was like been hitting or something like that, and then he's like using words and just like shouting and yelling, and then this woman is like crying loudly, and she is like telling him, uh like like I so the whole point of that thing, of what was going on, was she was telling him, so it almost felt like he was attacking her with words, and then she was telling him that she also started to react to the attack, and she was talking something which was totally kind of irrelevant to what the guy was telling, because she was telling, like, I felt like so she said, like, she was coming back from her father's funeral, and I felt like the things that she wanted to, like, tell her dad, like, she was telling this guy, like, she was telling him, why is that it's always my fault, why is that you think I'm not good enough, and all those things, like she was telling that guy, like, and that kind of, like, didn't make sense, but I could also, like, kind of, like, understand what she's going through. And this guy, I think he had eye surgery, I'm not sure what, like, and what this guy might have, like, I felt like when she was hitting the back of his seat, that kind of triggered this guy, because he was, like, he also kind of, like, looked rough, like he had, like, a scar like me, but this was an accident. Okay, but I think he got it through a fight, I don't know, I don't want to assume. So basically, like, so they were, like, both fighting to the point that the driver, I was sitting, like, towards the end of the bus, he pulled out the whole bus to the side. He comes back and he's like, I'm gonna call the cops if you guys don't stop fighting. I'm gonna call. So he starts so she starts telling, like, he's attacking me. He starts telling that she is, like, high on drugs, and she's like trying to tell that she's just coming back from her father's funeral, and this guy is saying, like, she's insane, she's high on drugs, and then she's telling him, you are so this, that, and then he is telling her, I'm gonna send you to your father's grave. And then this is all, like, crazy conversation. It's not even a conversation, or crazy fight attack going on with words. And then the driver didn't know how to handle this, both people who were going overboard in what they were doing without self-control. So, and I was like, why? I need some peace. Like, can't you people who are around my circumference or whatever, my environment, let there be peace. Like, peace is what I want, and let there be peace. You guys stay at peace and I will be at peace. And what problem do these guys have? Like literally, I was thinking, like, it's just been like 15-20 minutes and I have a few more hours to go. And then I don't know, like, what people think. The driver, the bus driver, he looks at me and he's like, he tells that woman who is already going through so much things to sit next to me. Like, you know, like, it's like, you're the only one who can solve the problem, kind of a thing, to dump that problem on me. And I was like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Like, literally, he's like, I didn't even know, like, what he saw in me to put that whole situation. And he goes back and starts driving, and this woman is moving from her seat to come sit next to me. And I was, like, so scared. I literally, like, scared, because she was highly emotional. This guy was highly emotional, and this whole situation, I was like, since you guys are around me, I want you all to be at peace so that I can be at peace, kind of. That's how I think. So I was like, I didn't know, I just didn't want to, like, sit next to her, because I'm an emotional person, and someone's triggering, I don't like to be around those people. I literally don't like, because I'm very careful with the boundaries I keep with people. So not that I think someone is good or bad, they could be good people, but it's just that it's not working out with me, with the way I think and with the way I process. If someone thinks differently, then I just give a healthy, respectful, honorable gap where you respect me, I respect you, and let's have this healthy gap between you and me, kind of the way. That's the way I think. So I then because she was moving next to me, I was like, I stood out of my seat. I was like, please, like, take it. And then I had my bottle, which was sealed, and then because she was also crying and sobbing, and I totally understand. I know I understand her pain, and but there's nothing I can do except like at the okay. So when they were still fighting, I missed out the main point, and I didn't know what to do, and I felt like God was telling me, you're thinking about everything, but what I want you to do is pray. And then I started praying, and then that's when like the driver like came in, and I didn't know that like he would put it all on me to handle the situation. And I was like, okay. And then this lady was coming to move next to me, and I moved out of the seat row that I was sitting in, and I told her, please sit. And then like I gave her the sealed water bottle that I had. I opened it and I gave her to drink, and then she was like, you're so kind. And then I was like, I don't know if I'm so deep within myself. I was thinking, I don't know if I'm kind or not, but all I know is I don't want to deal with you or that guy right now, and you guys are around me in the same bus, and for my peace, I have to work on you people to be at peace, because I want all of us to be at peace. And then I gave her the bottle of water to sit, and then there was this other lady who was like sitting in front, and then I moved next to her. Before even I could move next to her, like I was telling, it was very hard for these both people to control their anger. So after she drank the water, what she did was, the anger inside her popped up, and she literally like took her bag, the handbag, and she like literally swinged it to hit the guy. And I went and stood in between. I was like, what are you provoking? That guy could get crazy. And like he was already trying to control himself, because I think he also felt guilty that she was coming back from a funeral, and it was hard for him to control himself, but he was trying. I knew. And you are like going and provoking like a lion, like in Lion's Den. Just because the lion is shed doesn't mean like it cannot devour you, right? So I was like, I stood in between because I didn't want her to provoke him, because again it affects my peace. So I stood in between, and then that back came swiping, and it hit me, and I think she was feeling sorry that it hit me, and I was like, it's okay, you need to relax and calm down. And then the guy also felt like comforted, because I kind of like covered him at the situation. And this other lady who was also like seeing me, who I sat next to, and this whole people were seeing whole of this drama. And then I sat there, and then God was telling me, I want you to continue praying. The problem is not solved. I want to show you something. And I was like, what should I pray? Now he's there, she's there. I gave up my seat where I was like sitting happily alone, and now I am sharing with someone sitting next to a different person. Now what should I pray for? And I just felt like praying, and that God telling me to continue. So I prayed, Lord, please let thy will be done. And I don't even remember what I prayed, but I continued to pray. And then this lady writes something, and she throws that paper on him. No, she throws that paper not from here, but they stopped for I think the restroom break. And then when we were coming, she throws the whatever she wrote on that paper towards that guy. And finally, we reached New York City, and then my Uber is not yet there. So I was waiting for my Uber. And then this lady comes, and then she gets down, we all get down. So I'm still there waiting for my Uber. And I don't know what she wrote in that paper, but this guy was looking at me like he wanted to talk, but I was like avoiding. And then, but I could see that he wanted to like go, like before even he was looking at me or wanted to talk, I knew like he wanted to like talk to her, but he was being hesitant and he was looking at me like for confidence, like but I don't want to deal. I mean, I'm off the bus, I'm off with you guys, I'm going my way, and my way is, my focus is very different. I was totally, I was like, I'm not gonna deal with you all, because I was stuck in the situation, and that's why I had to deal. And otherwise I wouldn't even have took my time to deal. I would have, like, I don't know, at that situation probably, maybe I would have done a word of prayer rather than sacrificing my seat and doing all those things, like, or taking initiative or just telling people to calm down. Probably I wouldn't have gone to that extent if I wasn't like stuck in the bus with them. So I was off the bus, so I was trying to avoid these both people. They were all around. And then, so as soon as this woman came down the bus, there was this guy waiting, and he hugged her tightly, and obviously like she's coming back from a funeral. So I don't, and then this guy wanted to talk to her, and then like he was looking at me and wanted to, I completely avoided, but probably he understood my vibe that I wasn't willing to talk. Then, and I was like, God, I don't understand, why are you like getting my Uber late, and why are you not taking me out of the situation still? And then I see something miraculous happen. This guy goes up to her and he apologizes, saying, I'm sorry for my behavior. And that woman also apologizes to him, and they both hug each other. And then he gives like a handshake kind of a thing to this other guy. And there was such beauty. They all smiled, and looking at the whole situation, and he smiled at me, and he walked away. There was so much peace. Like, I was thinking like, okay, if they don't fight, that is peace. But I never saw the power of prayer could be such a reconciliation between two people to bring joy. I did not see prayer to that extent. Obviously, like, even though I was praying, and because they stopped fighting, but God still told me to continue to pray. But I did not expect to see that kind of such beautiful outcome towards the end, to two people who were telling each other that one, I'm going to send you to the grave, and this thing, and the bus driver wanting to call the cops, and all those things. Like, the beautiful end that God brought to the whole situation, with reminding me you're doing everything but prayer. And when I started to pray, and how situation worked out, all for not just the good, for the best and beautiful, because the word of God says he makes all things beautiful in his time. So that was the third incident where I saw the power of prayer, that God works in different ways. These three situations are still the power of prayer, but in a different approach, in a different way. And all three things, I did not even know how to pray. But what God sees is the heart of a person. It's not the beautiful words that we have that are needed in prayers, but your heart, that you are trying to please God, you are desiring God, you want to do his will, and you want to be obedient. That is what God sees. In some situations, God used my words. In some situations, he used just my action. In some situations, I couldn't even speak any word, but your prayer, but still through it all, prayer was involved, and I could see the beauty of the Lord's work through prayer. And coming to the final outcome of what God told me what I want you to do was support these children, and like be that support and help to the children in prison. And when I said yes, all these things happened, right? And then the time came when I had to like volunteer in the prison. And there was something beautiful. I don't think I've laughed in a long time like that. Those guys were so loving, so funny. I thought like, okay, maybe like they can understand me or I can't understand them, but they were so loving to me. And I was telling them, you guys are my brothers, and they were like so protective, even a little. Like, they were offering me their seat. They were like, they were just there. And as I was like volunteering, I could see that they had so much respect for me. I thought, like, remember, if you in the starting of the video, like I was telling, like I didn't know if they would, even if I'm willing to offer, that they would be at a place to receive. But I was like so amazed to see they were so happy to receive. They were so joyful, like, to receive my words. And I remember like there were like these guys, like 12, 15, 14, I could see them coming. Like, I God somehow created like a motherly heart inside me towards these guys. And then they also was feeling that, like a elder sister, like a mother. Like, I could see these guys like see like their point of view and what they were struggling within. And some of them would like just come to me and just whisper, because like they have like fights among themselves. Even in those groups, they would come to me and be like, please pray for me, like I'm not able to sleep at nights, like it's very scary. And these guys, when they're saying it's scary or it's anxiety, they're not kidding, like literally not kidding, because there are a lot of things that happen in prison that don't come out. And sometimes people don't even see outdoors ever again. So that's how the intensity what these like guys were trying to share. And even if like, and then I remember like telling this guy like the word of God, which says, for God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and sound mind. Or the other version which says, God has not given you a spirit of fear, but a spirit of courage and strength. And the moment I said that God has not given you a spirit of fear, and then I was continuing to tell this words, he just smiled, like the word of God gave him such light and power and shifted his mindset. And then I would see like these kids, like literally, those are guys like hit teenage and high testosterone, and all they want to do is just fight and hit each other. And like, or like some of them are like bros, so they are like, okay, let's gang up. And these guys are also like recruited into gangs from an early age. So they have seen wild, shady things. They have done that, and they have seen that, and they have been in an environment like that. And I could see like they were like trying to like, they hid, it's a prison, right? So the doors are locked, and then some like we're still able to communicate, and because I'm authorized to go in. But when I'm walking through the hallway, like, and then if other guys are going for lunch or something, they keep hitting the door and then screaming bad words and like bad like at each other. And I would like look at them like stop doing it, kind of a thing, with my eyes, like literally. I don't know how, like I remember like once, like long time back in church, like there was a guest speaker that came, and this man of God prayed for me, and he said, when you speak with authority. And I was like, oh, okay, I didn't even know that. But I was just looking at these guys, and I just these two guys, like I looked at both of them, I said stop, and they were like, they just like stopped. And I was like, did they just listen to me? And then like, because they were kids, teenagers, like. And then I remember that at that point God was telling me, Crystal, the only difference between you and these kids is you are constantly raised with saying what not to do. Don't do this, don't do that. And I hated, like, as growing up, like my parents, like like both my mom and dad, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. And I just didn't know why I had so many don'ts when most of my friends didn't have so many, like their parents just like telling them don't do this, don't do that. But now I appreciate the upbringing of them saying so many don'ts, because as a kid I felt like if I had so many don'ts, then what in the world should I do? And the do's are very less compared to so many don'ts that I got. And then when I saw these kids, and those kids, some of them were telling me, I wish someone told me before that incident, the crime that they did, or someone this thing. Some, like, you know, like when they were telling me these things, and I was like, oh my god, like I grew up with so much don't. And that's why it's so important to listen to the Holy Spirit, because God will tell you when you shouldn't do something. He will convict you, he will talk to you, and that is to protect you. I remember one guy saying, okay, I didn't want to go out that night. My friends were calling me, and I felt like maybe God was telling me not go. I had my mom tell me don't go, but I don't know why I went. And I went with a group. He wasn't involved in doing anything in particular, but the group of guys who were quite elder to him ended up doing something that caused to a loss of life because of just a fight that went through. And this boy, who was very young, maybe around like 12, 13, he was there. And just because he was of that group, and he was saying that I wish I felt like God was telling me that day, don't go. I wish I didn't, because he was just waiting in the prison for his hearing for years together. And sometimes I feel like we neglect God when he's telling us not to do something. And it is very important to do what God wants you to do, and not do what God does not want you to do, because God knows the future, because he's supreme. He knows everything, and it is so important to be obedient to whatever he's calling you to do. You could feel you're not qualified. Remember, God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. Your business and my business is to be obedient to God and say, yes, Lord, I'm here and I'm going to be obedient to what you're calling me to do. You might feel like you don't have the skills and talents. That is not your business. If God is calling you, he will equip you to everything required for you to achieve what he called you to achieve. Sometimes it's just your presence that will make all the difference, because the one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world. And the presence of God that you carry, like, it speaks. Your vibe speaks more than you even think or imagine. People can see and be like, there's something different about this person. And that difference is because you seek God. That difference is because you spend time with God. And that difference is and like, I want to focus back to the power of prayer. And that is the most powerful thing that you can do, is pray. No matter where you are, no matter how confused you feel in life, remember, God is not the author of confusion, but of peace and clarity. Just pray. Say, God, I don't understand my feelings, but I know I'm peaceless. I know I feel like I lack joy. So I'm calling you to bring peace into my life. I'm calling you to bring joy into my life. If there is something that I'm disobedient to you, please, Lord, show me what I need to do to bring your peace into my life. Show me if there is anything within me that's blocking my peace. Show me if there is anything within me that is blocking my joy, because I want to experience your peace, your joy that is not dependent on my circumstances or situations, but just on your obedience to God. And that is what I want to encourage you all right now, and love you all. And okay, love you all. Thank you so much for listening to the video and just showering so much love. I would love you guys to comment. Also pray for me to get well soon, and enjoy the coming weeks ahead and have a wonderful time. Love you all, and please feel free to comment and share if there is anything that you prayed and God worked it out beautifully, or any testimonies that you have. I would love to hear of what God is doing in your life and the greater things that He's going to do, that we believe in faith in Jesus' name. And love you all. And if this is your first time watching my channel, don't forget to subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed and have been watching for a while, please do subscribe. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button. And what else should I say? That's it, right? And feel free to share it with your friends or anyone who needs encouragement. And don't forget, there is power in prayer, and there is a power of prayer that will happen when you seek the Lord and pray to the Lord, because nothing is impossible to God. Love you all, and see you all in the next month. Bye.